Hey yo, what's up? It's another weekly batch analysis. How you guys doing? So this week I had not too many trades, but I actually took some crypto trades, which was taken on a live account. That's pretty cool. But other than that, I'm still trading my forward test. This is how it currently looks. So I had quite a few wins, slowly but surely starting to climb myself out of this DD. And overall, very happy with my patience. I have a couple of thoughts. Again, like even though I might not have a lot of trades, I'm still thinking about trading. I'm still thinking about refinements, thinking about how I can be the best possible trader. And of course, because of that, I document some of those thoughts, make some refinements to my system, and I do have one big mindset refinement this week that I'm going to be talking about. So, taking a look here this week, yeah, and on the forex side, I only traded GBP USD. And let's get right into the trades, I guess. Actually, before we do that, as always, take a look at the last week. So last week I ended up having minus 1.4, but had I traded perfectly, it would be plus 4.6. So I must have missed a win. So I traded a few inconsistent markets, and I see. And going forward in the future, I really, really want to avoid those markets that have like this insane big push, right? Because that's very inconsistent. And most of the time, when something like this happens, what I want to do is I simply will not trade this range, but I will wait for the market to go into a new range. And when it does, maybe then I can go and trade the DMB over there. And yeah, these are different. I think these are different markets, right? Or at least like they're on different time frames. But these are all examples of what I would consider as inconsistent. So this range would definitely be inconsistent. This range because of the huge, huge pullback. Well, maybe I would look for a trade over here, but definitely would not look for a trade over here because this is kind of crazy. And over here, yeah, this nothing special really. I mean, this trade that I took was kind of okay. I think, what was that actually? This was just the lower time frame of one of these trades, I believe. But like on that higher time frame, this all of this was just a wick. So still something that I need to pay a little bit more attention to find out how exactly I want to refine this. But overall, I already have this general idea that I do not want to trade the inconsistencies. I want to trade really healthy trends where money comes in a healthy way and not these kind of irregularities where it just pumps like crazy or dumps like crazy. When those kind of things happen, I want nothing to do with that. So that was one big refinement. So here's the rule: don't trade inconsistent markets. Inconsistency is tied to its range. Yeah, so that's very important because here I see. I missed this trade, and I think that was this trade actually. I'm not entirely sure. No, no, no. This trade I took over here. That was because of this. I see. A little bit weird. But anyway, I missed this trade over here, which ended up being a winner because I considered all of this inconsistent. And my argument was, okay, the market is behaving inconsistently, so I expect it to continue behaving inconsistently, which, is not a bad thought. I probably would be plus EV if I filter these kind of things out anyway. But going forward, I really want to tie inconsistency to its range, meaning that once it breaks into new range, now I can trade it without any problem. So that's that going forward. And once it breaks into a new range, it's no longer inconsistent. Yep, that's important. So that's all. And going forward, yeah, I don't want to trade inconsistent markets. You can see I put these rules over here on my context time frame so that I can always see them. Don't forget to follow the market. Yeah, this is all the same stuff that I do every week, and I'm getting better at it. But yeah, I do know that I actually traded one inconsistent market this week. As I talked about it last week, whenever I make one of these refinements, it usually takes me a couple of weeks to really get it fully, ingrained in my mind. And I'm not going to be mad at myself if I make a few mistakes regarding this specific rule, as long as I troubleshoot it, I take notes and everything like that, and I try my best to eliminate what I consider to be a mistake. So yeah, let's go into the trades, I guess. So here we are on GBP USD, right? So there is some ongoing downtrend before, but I think I'm not entirely sure, but I think on GU I'm generally biased long, like on the 1 day. Yeah. I definitely am. I definitely am biased long on this time frame. And you know what? Like I'm wondering if this was too early or not. Like there's definitely so the newest range, right? The newest range is this one. So this is where it broke higher, and all of that is coming from a demand zone. Let's mark it up somewhere over here. And honestly, if the market comes back into the demand zone and starts bouncing off of there, that's like expected behavior, right? There can even be a liquidity grab, which there was over here, that little wick that definitely liquidated this. And it makes total sense that it should or could continue. So as long as I have a stage one, which I do have over here, as long as I have this stage one and market starts going higher, and it doesn't just liquidity grab and fucks down lower. Like I wasn't looking for trades in this range, right? Because I could assume that all of this is just for redistribution purposes. We already have a order flow down, and here it would redistribute and continue lower, right? That's my expectation. But once it breaks above this high, I'm like, interesting. This actually looks like it wants to continue higher. So I'm happy to continue following. And I did follow, but all of this was complete nonsense and trash. Like nothing sets up here because it's just choppy. But then it creates this new stage one and it breaks higher. And it's a nice MMB as well. It's above the rising 1020. So if there's big momentum coming in here and breaking out higher, there's absolutely no reason that I cannot follow. So here on the 6 minute, we can see the stage one, right? I'm not really looking for anything, but then boom, big momentum comes in and pulls back into the rising 1020. This area is exactly where I love to trade. It's when you have a breakout of some sort on big volume, like big powerful breakout, pulls back into the 1020. This is exactly where I like to trade. So let's take a look what happened on the 1 minute here. This is the pullback. First thing I analyze is this stage two. Like this stage two clearly above the 20. It's not the strongest one, but it does have these pops away like this one, this one, this one, this one, right? This is pretty strong in my opinion. We can also see a lot of these white or light yellow boxes representing inefficiency. Inefficiency only prints when there is an impulse that does not pull back all the way, right? That's the only way inefficiency can stay. Um, so this is clearly moving higher. So my expectation is that this should or could continue. And now it pulls back right below the 1020. Spend some time below, create some kind of stage one over here. And honestly, I don't really like this entry. Like I know I already checked this entry earlier. I definitely forced this one. Like if anything, the MB, the first MB was somewhere over here, and maybe I should have biased up this one, but this one I would not have biased up because of how it looked like. This is blech, this is not good. This is a very, very deep pullback. I do not like this at all. I should not have biased up it, and I didn't. And instead, I biased up this, and honestly, this is an MB3. I thought, okay, maybe I can just force it and say that this whole thing is a stage one. But if I did that, then the MBs would really not be symmetrical in size. Like that. This makes absolutely no sense. Like this is tiny, this is huge, right? So honestly, I forced this a little bit, and that's unfortunate. I mean, I should know better than that. And I'm going to try my best to not force things in the future, especially like with that new understanding that I'm going to talk about regarding patience and only taking the best possible setups. But this was very clearly a mistake. And this was a 1 minute entry. And yeah, I mean, this is a nice MMB by itself. So maybe there is an argument to be made that this is tradable because it's below the floating supply, right? Everything is rising and stuff. But very simply, based on the setups that I'm used to taking and based on what I'm used to seeing that works well for me, this is not one of those situations. So this was most definitely a mistake. But let's label it up. So here We already have a change of direction. We have a bullish trend. So I'm just going to say good momentum over here. Here we have a stage one breakout on good momentum. Here we have, well, I'm only going to talk about the entry here, and I'm going to say that this is an ugly entry, and ugly because it's actually an MB3, making this overall a mistake. And yeah, this just literally taps me in and instantly fucks me up, right? So if I take a look at it, this looks decent, the context is good, and the 1 minute MMB is nice too. And here I write, was I a bit too impatient here? This entry looks different from my perfect entry. I need to test this more before I actually decide to take these types of entries. Yes, absolutely. So yes, this indeed was a mistake, and I forced the trade. It was an MMB. It was an MB3, and that's not my setup. Boom. So yeah, going to say this is a mistake, and it's a -1. Mistake. There we go. Not the best start, but what can you do? I'm also gonna write 1 minute entry. There we go. Okay, so the 60-minute looked decent, 6 minute was very nice, and 1 minute was ugly entry because it was what? Because it was MB3. And management-wise, there was nothing to do. So overall, it was a mistake because of the entry. Do we have anything like that here? Let me see. Entry, yep, ugly entry. There we go. All right. Next up, oh yeah, I chronologically made this already correct, but I didn't make that correct in my Miro. But this is a win on some crypto. This is Zora. So I have Zora, I think, over here. Okay, let's analyze this one then. So regarding the EVC, right, I'm taking 5 or 6 minute entries here. And because of that, I'm multiplying it by 6 and then like by 6, by 10, whatever, just some kind of higher time frame so that I know what the hell is going on. So here's the higher time frame, right? We have some ongoing like bleeding market, whatever, absolutely not interesting. Create some kind of stage one and all of a sudden like it makes a big, big move, right? Pulls back and like maybe all of this could be for redistribution, whatever. I probably wouldn't pay attention to it. Maybe I would. I don't know. Like I definitely wasn't. Let's put it that way. And then it continued higher big time, pulled back here, continued higher big time, and I was like, yeah, wow, big strength. And I know that cryptos can move like crazy, so I was like, okay, let's see what this looks like on the lower time frame and if there's a good setup to take. So here we are on the 1 hour, right? Beautiful stage two. Here it has a bigger reaccumulation, comes back to some kind of demand zone here, uh, bounces, continues higher. Like this looks very, very one-sided, definitely. Like the buys are overpowering the sells big time. Huge demand, right? Here it pulls back again and breaches into a new range, and here it pulls back. So now I'm going to take a look at the 6 minute here, and this is the new range, right? And it goes into the new range, pulls back into the rising 1020, and here it creates the DMB. And the DMB, in my opinion, was quite nice. I can mark it up. Let's do it like this. So I would say this was MB1. Boom, and make it white. Okay, this is MB1, and this is MB2. So they're kind of okay. Like they're not exactly the same. They don't have to be exactly the same, but it's still below the floating supply over here. The MB2 had a big MB1 validation, pulled back into the rising 1020. This looks beautiful. That's like the typical ICI, right? I mean, doesn't get much better than that. So I took that and let's see how I managed, if I can see it here. Okay, so here a few candles went in, but that wasn't quite enough strength for me yet. It fucked around a little bit, and big strength comes in, And I'm like, I want to see a tiny little bit more. And as it pulls back and it creates this high, as it liquidates that high, I'm like, okay, now at this point, I don't want to have any risk on. It has shown enough strength and it should continue. And yep, that continues quite nicely and it hits +5. And it goes all the way to 5.55. So not too far actually. And like I think I was quite lucky to get my profit here. This was taken on a live account uh, because of the spread and everything. I actually think I entered this with a limit, to be honest. I think that's what I'm doing with cryptos because the spread is pretty insane if you have a buy stop. So what I do is I have a buy stop limit order. And what that does is that the moment it triggers, it creates a limit order at the exact same area. And then when it comes back, it takes liquidity from the order book, right? What I'm risking here is that it's gonna continue moving without me, without that pullback, but I'm okay with that. I'm totally fine with that. I don't mind. Like very often, what happens, it comes up, and before my break-even rule is met, it pulls back, and that's when I get filled. That's exactly what happened over here, and I got my beautiful +5. So that was cool. So here on the high time frame, right? I mean, what is there even to say? This is just huge momentum. So good momentum on my C. Here, this is also good momentum. By no means is this overextended, by the way, because this was most definitely a reset. So here we have MMB1. This could be maybe MMB2. So, yep, not overextended in the slightest. And here, this was very nice as well. I mean, this is a clear breakout into a new range. I don't know why it doesn't draw. Okay. And this is a very clear DMB above the 1020 EMA. So I think this was a perfect entry. So overall, I will give this trade a perfect. Okay. And it ended up being a +5. Very cool. So here, how am I even going to mark this up? I mean, I don't know. Like maybe I should change these from 66, 1, and 10 to like, context validation entry. I don't know. I'm just gonna do this as if it was a 1 minute entry. So it was definitely good context. It was good momentum, and the 1 minute, well, was good entry. Management was perfect, and that makes it a perfect trade. Very cool. Okay, moving on. What do we have? Okay, we have GU again. So let's get back to GU, see what happened since then. So here on the 1 hour, right? Okay, so this high over here, that's this high, and it breached higher, and then it breached higher. So it breached higher and higher. Okay, I see. So this is where I took that first trade, which was an ugly trade, and then it started chopping big time, right? And then it pulled back into the demand zone, and from there came huge impulse higher, right? Breaking into a new range. So whatever chop was happening here, I don't care about anymore. What matters now is that we are in a new range, and as long as we pull back to the rising 1020, I'm totally valid to trade that. And that's exactly what happens. And here, is this a 1 minute entry? No, it's a 10-second entry. All right. So here, what do we have? We have a big stage two. I mean, this is clear as day. Since this stage two is impulsive and strong, that allows me to trade the the reaccumulation as long as the reaccumulation doesn't pull back too deeply. And here it doesn't. I mean, some big sells are coming in. Yeah, I probably wouldn't take a DMB over here. I will wait for a stage one, which is exactly what happens. And then there's a breakout from that stage one. Here, it liquidates, but that's fine. Who cares about that? Pulls back. And as it's pulling back, and this is around the 1020, this is looking pretty sweet. And here, all I'm really looking for is the DMB, right? Or ICI, whatever you want to call it. And here we have this stage two, very strong. Definitely want to trade this. And as it's pulling back over here, I'm just looking for any kind of, this. So as this happens, I already had a buy stop set over here, but that doesn't trigger. Instead, it comes down, liquidates this shit, and then does another one of those huge impulses that wants to go higher, right? Even liquidates this high. So at this point, this setup was really nice because at this point I was like, okay, this even liquidated this point. So if this is a redistribution, it's just gonna fuck off lower, right? But if it's not and it continues higher, then this is the perfect area for me to take a trade. And yeah, I set my buy stop, and this just goes crazy, taps me in, and immediately starts going my way. And a little bit later in the day, it hits +5, and I will have another trade in the same area right after. So overall, I really really like this trade. I think it's great. So here we have good momentum. Yo, caps lock. Good momentum. Looks like a pretty healthy trend too on the 1 hour. Here we have a stage 1 breakout, which is what? No, which is also on very good momentum. Same thing over here. This is also stage 1 breakout on good momentum. And here, what do we have here? I would call this a perfect entry. We can even see that the EMA start rising. Yeah, this is looking very, very nice. So, whoop. Perfect entry. All right. And that ends up being a +5. And it's perfect. Okay, let me label that up. Everything's yellow here, just the way I want it to be. Management-wise, I was risk-free after this big candle. Like, okay, there were 3 candles here that were quite bullish, right? But they were not quite big enough. Like, I could totally see this dip back in and then continue. So I didn't want to be risk-free just yet. But after this big chunky candle, I was like, yeah, okay. At this point, if it comes back, I don't want to be in that trade. And yep, that ends up being +5, so perfect management as well, making it overall a perfect trade. And this goes to 7.53. So yeah, that's that. And then right after, I have another trade on GU. Did I write anything here, by the way? No, I didn't. All right, so here, yeah, rules are rules, so I must pyramid in another trade. I remember I hesitated a little bit, but I ended up taking it because here, let me just show you what happened on the 1 minute. So this was the previous trade, right? I think we can even see it here. Yep, that's the previous trade. That breaks into a new range and it pulls back again into the rising 1020. And how does it look here? Okay, so stage 2 was very, very strong. I mean, this is clear as day, very one-sided. And here it starts pulling back. And I think maybe over here I already set up a buy stop, but again, that dumped and invalidated. Wasn't quite interesting. But we are still in a very, very nice reaccumulation. The last sell came from over here, so this is definitely my MB. Let me actually mark that up. So this would be MB1, and this would be MB2 right here. Again, they are not exactly the same size, but they are still like very, I would say, this is totally acceptable, so to say. And yeah, big MB1 validation, pulls back above the rising 1020, right? This was a beautiful setup in my opinion. So I hesitated a little bit because it's been a while since I could pyramid in another trade that that a trend would actually have follow through and continue. So I hesitated a bit, but I was like, hey, rules are rules and I have to follow them. I'm already risk free on this one, so if I get another setup, I should definitely take it. And I do take it. Taps me in. Let's see how I managed. I don't even have that here. Too bad. I think I probably went risk-free on this candle over here. And yeah, this delivers very, very quickly to +5 as well. So I make +10 on GU in a matter of like an hour or something. That was really nice. So yeah, let me label this up. I mean, it's exactly the same stuff here. No, it's not. It's not the same. So it's this. This time frame is good momentum, and this, I would say, is perfect entry. Okay, there we go. So overall, this is a +5. and it's perfect. Lovely. Let me label it up here. All yellow. Perfect trade. And this goes to like 5.79. It's very satisfying when I get my TP. It goes just a tiny little bit higher and then it dumps. That's nice. Like way too often has it happened to me that it wouldn't reach just by a few ticks and then drop, and I wouldn't get anything. But if I get my profit before it does, that's really great. So yeah, that was another +5. And here I have my last trade, which is another crypto trade. That's this one. So same time frames as before, right? Here I'm looking at 10 hour, here 720. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, there was some kind of like bleeding market doing absolutely nothing, not interesting, and all of a sudden big enormous pump, right? And here it starts reaccumulating, and then big momentum comes in. And here, this is what I talked about in the beginning. I should really not trade these inconsistent markets. This, in my opinion, is inconsistent as fuck. This is horrible, and it should come as no surprise that this setup did not work. So here, I mean, yeah, we have big momentum, right? Pulls back into the rising 1020, but the pullback itself is already so fucking deep just to reach 1020. Like, I should have just completely skipped this. This is not an interesting opportunity. But anyway, we can see that here on the 6 minute, big, uh, big pump, right? And here it starts reaccumulating, and I'm like, okay, so let's take a look at where I would like price to go higher. So probably above this level, goes to here, pulls back into the 1020. Like even the setup is not necessarily the best. Like I think the reason why I even allowed myself to trade this is simply because it's a higher time frame entry. It's like a 5 minute entry, and what I have realized or what I have noticed from like even Anton's 1 hour entries and stuff, they're kind of different from the entries that I have on the 10 second. But I think it makes sense to be a little bit less strict on the high time frame entries because on the lower time frame, I really want them to be as perfect as possible. And the way I explain it to myself is that the lower time frames, like let's say 10-second entries, even 1 minute entries, it's so cheap for the composite operator to manipulate the market and liquidate something one more time, let's say. I would never ever take this entry on a 10 second. So there's an argument to be made. If I didn't take it on the 10 second, why the hell would I take it on the 5 minute or 6 minute? And yeah, honestly, this is a mistake. I should not have taken it. But if this was like a 1 hour entry, it's totally valid in my opinion to just look for uh, to get involved on a liquidation of a high on a market that has already shown direction, right? So that was my thinking here, kind of. And I thought, yeah, this makes sense. Like this is some kind of accumulation, right? Breaks higher, and maybe this is Act Two, and like I could take this trade. But honestly, there is a lot wrong with this trade. First of all, it's inconsistent with its pump. I don't want to get involved in such violent pumps because yeah, they don't make much sense to me. I'd much rather see a nice healthy momentum cycle that breaks down in a nice way and then enter something like this rather than do this, eh, rather than do this. So yeah, this I'm gonna mark this up as a mistake for sure. I mean, here I can say this is good momentum for sure. This is a very strong market. Here, I mean, it is good moment. Well, what the fuck? I mean, yeah, this is good momentum, but man, what am I doing? Okay, but it's inconsistent. And yeah, same over here. It's well, it's inconsistent, and it's also kind of an ugly entry. Um, ugly entry. So overall, I'm gonna have to go ahead and call it a mistake, unfortunately. But it is what it is, and it ended up being a -1. So yeah, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trades this week. There was a lot of trades that I didn't take, but I don't necessarily mark all of them up. I don't put all of them into the data collection because I only do that when there is something to learn from them. Like when it's like, okay, I didn't take this because this and that. and it's something that I know that I want to go over in my batch analysis over the weekend. It's something that uh, basically something that I want to learn from. But there was nothing really to learn from this week. The trades that I did not take, even though I started following, were simply not good enough. They didn't meet my rules, and that's fine. So yeah, that's that. So let's go over this section real quick. So what went well? Let's see. Let's start with what went bad. Let's start with what went bad. So the mistakes that I made. One mistake was over here, and that was an ugly entry. Okay, so I forced I forced an ugly entry. That's a bad one. I shouldn't do this. I should not. Like, I'm trying my best not to do it, of course. Trying to get better and better at this, but it still happens sometimes. But yeah, I'm gonna take a note of that, and that's the best I can do, right? Um, Best I can do is just focus on it and try to not take it again. But yeah, I forced an ugly entry, and I traded one inconsistent market. Okay, that's what went bad. But on the things that went well, uh, I followed rules perfectly, I would say. Yeah, I just followed rules really, really well. So followed rules well, said no to a lot of trades, and I was very patient. Okay, I can leave this just as last week because that's very true. So now regarding results, oh, I haven't marked this up yet. My bad. So yeah, this was it's this trade, right? It was good context, but here it became inconsistent, and actually I'm gonna call 6 minutes ugly because inconsistent, and 1 minute, well, 1 minute was ugly as well because it was not really my setup and it was inconsistent as well. Do I have not my setup here? hmm Not my entry and inconsistent as well. Yep. Management wise, there was nothing to do. Taps me in, instantly fucks me up. So it's a mistake. It's a mistake because it's an ugly entry and it's inconsistent. Do I have inconsistent here? I don't. Wow. Inconsistent. Boom. Make that right. Okay. So these are the mistakes. Cool. So overall, my weekly analysis, right? Week 30. Yep. These are all the trades that I did take, and I ended up being up plus 12. That's beautiful. That's so, so nice. So plus 12. Yo, what? Plus 12R. And if I filtered out all the mistakes, that would be my perfect week. I would be up plus 14.4. I can just do it without R. Okay, so I would be up another 2.2 because I would filter out two mistakes. Beautiful. So that's that. And the results are really nice this week, but honestly, like I have a tendency of calling this lucky because I caught 3 wins, but it's not. This is my edge finally playing out a little bit. Even though I'm very patient, the trades that I took, the ones that ended up being winners, were perfect trades. And this just goes to show, and I've seen this week after week, and this is super important. Week after week, had I only taken the trades that are actually perfect, I would be doing great for myself, right? I would be catching the big winners. Yes, sometimes I don't catch something because I say no because it doesn't meet my rules, but that doesn't matter. That's random. Who gives a shit about that? That's not my edge. My edge is taking my perfect trades, and when I do, and I have proof, tangible proof in front of me week after week, when I do that, I do two things. One, I make sure that my edge actually plays out because I only trade the 1% or 0.1% of price action that I actually want to trade. And that's the price action where I have edge. And two, because I don't trade the other 99%, I reduce my downside big time. I might take a couple of losses every now and then, even with perfect trades, and that's completely fine. I don't mind that because I know that over time I will catch these winners and they will make up for the losses, right? But it's not true if I start including price action that I don't want to trade. So, yeah, week after week, like usually the results after filtering mistakes are better. So, this really leads me to cultivating a mindset of really reducing the amount of trades I take. I know I talk about it all the time, and how is it possible that I still don't have it ingrained yet, right? Look, it's a journey, it's a struggle. I'm learning. I'm just a student. Even after I pass my funded challenge, I'm literally going to be at step zero. That's where really the whole journey is going to start. For now, I'm just building myself up, right? I'm just studying. I'm doing my best so that when I actually start, I start going forward with the right fundamentals. And that's what I'm building here. So I don't mind like reiterating this same lesson over and over for myself. It's okay. That's what I'm supposed to do. So I know I keep saying it, but I just need to be more patient. And I do have a little bit of an understanding in that regard, a little bit of a lesson. Is it here? Is it here? No, not really. But this is a funny meme. This is quite a funny meme. I like that one. But I think I have it in Notion, actually. So if I go to this week, yep, there's a lesson right over here. And I wrote this in Trade Talk as well, but it could easily be forgotten or whatnot. So I'm just going to read it out here as well. This is a message that I sent to my trading buddies, so I'm just going to read it out quickly. So I've been thinking again yesterday. I think quite often, so that's why I included this meme as well. But yeah, as I get more and more used to saying no to a lot of setups, it ultimately leads me to two things, right? It leads me to protecting my downside and increasing my win rate. And along with that, my expected value. So these are both very desirable things because this makes me appreciate my rules more and more. And instead of feeling limited by them, I feel like they enable me to reach my success. So with that in mind, I thought about a mind shift. My default goal should be capital preservation, and my rules should force me into trading. Because right now it's kind of the opposite way, right? And I think many people can relate to that when they force trades. We kind of force trades because we feel FOMO, we are impatient, and we want to see the results, right? We want to get those wins, we want to get the dopamine spikes and all of that, and we want to feel like we are doing something to deserve our success, right? We want to do something, and that's why we take that trade because we feel like doing is what's going to lead us to success. But with trading, it's actually kind of a mindfuck because even though you want to be a tryhard and you just want to do your best and like just do something and do it well, it's not the right thing to do because the right thing to do is to be patient and say no to a shitload of stuff. Anyway, I have no other option but to take on risk if my rules are met. So this entire mind shift is going to be from instead of forcing myself to trade, I'm going to try to have a mindset where I try my best to not trade actually, where capital preservation is going to become my number one goal in trading. I'm going to try to do my best to not trade. I do not want to trade as default. But when my rules are met, and when they are perfectly met, I have no other choice but to take the trade. The rules are the one that force me into a trade. Okay, so that's the mindset shift. This flips it upside down a bit and could be a way healthier approach to risk taking, at least for me. Of course, we're all different, but this works for me. By default, I don't want to take trades, but if my rules are met, I must. Okay. So this is what I shared, and then I wrote a little something about that in Trade Talk. So I just wanted to share some recent thoughts with you guys. Around 4 weeks ago, I started being much more strict with my entries and only taking trades that meet my rules 100%, or at least I'm trying my best. I take way less trades, which initially was quite uncomfortable because I felt a lot of FOMO, but I pushed through it and I said no to a lot of trades. And I remember it like when I started doing this, I would have a trade in front of me setting up, and it was decent. It followed rules fairly well, but it wasn't perfect. And man, it was so difficult to say no to it because I had to literally just sit through it, see it getting tapped in, and my mind, I was immediately like, yeah, yeah, I guess I just missed a big win. I missed a big win. This sucks. But actually, as I was doing it, I would see that most of those trades that I did not like, they were not perfect, ended up being either minus ones or BEs. Very rarely did they end up being winners. So as I did this week after week, every time I said no, it became a little bit easier next time. And now I'm in a position where I say no to so many trades and I don't even like think about it too much. I'm just like, okay, is this a trade? Nah, not really. So I don't even look at it. I don't care about the result of the trade because I know that this trade is not an example of my data set where I know I have edge. So I don't care about it. So anyway, over the last 4 weeks on my forward test, I made over 20 R, which is, in my honest opinion, an insane return, right? Imagine having a 1 million account and risking just 0.1% per trade. I'm pretty much set for life. And it mostly came down to limiting my downside and catching a winner every now and then. Experiencing this has been amazing because now saying no to those B tier setups is significantly easier than it used to be. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm closer than ever. Slowly but surely, I'm climbing out of that horrible DD I got myself in by making stupid mistakes. And once I'm out, I will have a strong confidence in myself and in my system and return to my funding challenge. So, I mean, yeah, what is there to say? I mean, I made a lot of mistakes when I got myself into this DD, right? This DD. I was doing stupid shit. Uh, I even changed my entry criteria at one point where my entry was more loose during a market that was like very choppy and not trendy and not following at all. And during such times, if anything, I should have made my entry even more strict, and I made it more loose. And I ended up having a minus 10 week, which was, I think, this week over here. That was fucking horrible, right? And those mistakes, like, I'm so happy this has happened to me, especially on forward test, and I didn't lose any money on it because this was such a great learning experience, and it showed me where my system is still lacking. And I made my refinements, and now I'm just so happy. And like literally right at this bottom, somewhere over here, I took my refined system and I was like, okay, from now on, I'm gonna try my best to only take the perfect trades. And you can see that I'm starting to climb again. It's a bit slower, yes, because I'm taking less trades. But actually, there's an argument to be made that it's gonna end up being faster because the time that I would need to get out of this with the previous set of rules might actually be way longer because I might continue taking losses and this drawdown could extend for much longer. So even though it feels like I'm limiting myself more, by limiting myself, I might actually end up uh, getting out of this DD faster, right? So it really is all about patience. And I wrote a little bit more. So my problem has always been that I'm a greedy motherfucker who wants it all and wants it yesterday. It's so true. But sitting through this forward test and feeling time as it flows made me realize that there is absolutely no rush. As long as I protect my downside and I take trades when my rules are met, I will grow my equity. And there is no need to be rich tomorrow, as long as my journey leads me to the destination I want to go to, right? And look, I have enough time. I don't need to rush anything. And I know for a fact that this is an ultimate requirement of a successful trader. I need to chill the fuck out and I need to be patient and I need to take trades only when my very refined rules are met. And when that happens and I don't suffer from that stupid ass FOMO or whatever, like emotional bullshit to take trades that I'm not supposed to, if I don't suffer from that, I'm going to be completely fine. So this comes with also adjusting my expectations a little bit. I need to adjust my expectations to understand that I'm going to be taking less trades and it's completely fine. And I don't need to feel the FOMO because opportunities are plenty and they will come. Even through these last couple of weeks where there was very few perfect trades because the markets were relatively dry and whatnot, there were still great opportunities to make money, right? And It's gonna take some time, of course, to like fully ingrain that in myself. But as long as I keep repeating this to myself, keep iterating, keep like simplifying it and making it more effective in terms of like understanding, and ultimately, as long as I continue growing and gathering this experience, I'm gonna be completely fine. And this week, even though I made two mistakes, which kind of sucks, my edge finally played out a little bit where we had a market that actually mm, follows through in its trend. And guess what? My trend following system is playing out its edge, and I get some wins. And I end up having a beautiful, absolutely beautiful plus 14R week, or well, minus plus 12 because I made the mistakes, but plus 12. Damn, that's awesome. I mean, look, I'm almost out of the DD right now. I have a minus 17.45 DD. At the worst point, my DD was somewhere around like almost 40, like here, minus 38.65. Holy shit. And since then, like how many trades forward? Since then, can I see like number? I can't. Well, it's unfortunate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 trades later, I'm I'm like 20R out of DD. 20R. Just imagine that, like making 20R. Look at this. So 1 week 14 plus 5 or whatever, 4.6. Okay, that's 19. Oh, the actual results, not the perfect one. Let's go with the actual. Okay, 12. This is what? 10.6, 10.8, 14.8, 14.6, and 16.14. Yeah, 21.2 or whatever. One, two, three, four. In 5 weeks, making 20R is absolutely insane if you think about it. And yes, I know we're gonna see in trade talk some people showing that they might have a 30R day or whatever, trading the low time frame on stocks. It doesn't matter. Like I don't like to compare myself in any capacity whatsoever. It does not matter. What matters is my results, and I know that having plus 21R in 5 weeks is absolutely insane. And as long as I have a working system that I can employ, I can slowly build myself from passing a funding challenge of a 100K to eventually making some profit. That profit reinvested into a bigger challenge to eventually get my 1 million. And once I have my 1 million, imagine making fucking 20R in a month, even with 0.1% risk. That's absolute crazy. That's madness. That's like I'm set for life. So really, all I need to realize here is that I need to chill the fuck out, take my time. There's absolutely no rush, and just slowly but surely follow my rules. Try my best not to trade. My number one goal from now on is capital preservation. But when my rules are met, and the market is screaming at me like, "Hey, it's an entry. You must take me," then I will take it because I have no other option. I have no other choice. Those are my rules, and they will force me into the trade. It's not going to be me forcing myself into trades with some emotional nonsense. It's going to be my rules forcing myself. I'm only going to force myself into not trading. Once my rules are met, I'll take it. So yeah, that's how I'm going to be moving forward. I'm going to try my absolute best to do that. I'm going to continue, as always, iterating and doing these weekly batch analyses that have been extremely helpful to me. And I have 100% confidence that I'm going to reach my success eventually. So, yeah, that is, I think, all that I wanted to talk about. I don't think I had anything drawn here that I would like to go through. No, not really. I'll just leave you with this beautiful meme. So, yeah, as always, if any of this sparks some kind of thought in you, tag me in Trade Talk, talk to me, or shoot me a DM. I always love to talk about trading. And I'll see you guys next week in the markets, and enjoy your weekends. All right. Peace.